If you bought a boat near the top of the market, it has already taken money out of your pocket. Used boats are selling for as much as 40% below their peak, repossessed ones 50% or more. And the boat you are still making payments on, at nearly 7% interest, is worth less every month it sits at the dock. Dealers know exactly how far this has fallen. They would just rather you found out slowly. So here is the whole number out loud. Start with the thing a dealer will never point out. Right now, on lots across Florida, Texas, and Michigan, prices are being edited down quietly, one listing at a time. No banner. No sale event. A yacht that sat at $300,000 in the spring gets marked to $240,000, then $220,000. Nobody sends you an email about it, because the reason for the cut is the part they cannot say to your face. That reason is called floor plan financing. It is the loan a dealer takes just to put boats on the lot. Every boat you walk past is not paid for. The dealer is paying interest on it month after month, whether it sells or not. When the market was hot, that was fine. Boats moved in weeks. The dealer paid a little interest, sold the boat, and never thought about it. Now they sit. A boat that used to move in a month sits for a season, and every one of those days, the dealer is paying the bank to keep it on the lot. The Marine Retailers Association has been telling its own members something blunt in private. Getting a used boat off floor plan can matter as much as clearing a new one, because paying interest on it all winter quietly eats the profit alive. One dealer put it plainly. They are buying used boats more aggressively now and pricing them below average retail just to get them to move. Another said they simply keep dropping the price until it finally generates a lead. So the quiet price cut is not generosity. It is a dealer trying to stop the losses on his own balance sheet before the interest does it for him. When you see that number drop, you are not watching a sale. You are watching a countdown. And that is only the first line on the ledger. Because while the dealer is taking losses, so are you. You just may not have opened the statement yet. Here is what the market has already done to the boat in your slip. Across the country, used boats are trading 20 to 40% below the prices people paid at the peak. The National Marine Manufacturers Association estimates new boat sales fell 8 to 10% in a single year, landing near 220,000 units. That matters more than it sounds, because used boats are not a side market. Roughly 4 out of every 5 boats sold in this country are pre-owned. So when new sales fall and the used lots fill up at the same time, there is nowhere for the extra boats to go, and the only thing left to move them is price. Now, stack the loan on top. Boat loans for strong borrowers start around 6.5% to 7%. That means you are paying interest on a number that is shrinking under you. The average used boat across all categories now sells for somewhere around $350,000, and the people who bought near the peak are carrying loans written against a much higher figure. You owe more than the boat is worth, you are paying to owe it, and the storage and insurance keep coming due whether you use the boat or not. That is what being underwater actually looks like, not a splash. A slow leak you do not notice until you try to sell. And this is the cruel part. The boat loses value while it just sits there, and it still costs you money to sit there. Think about the boat that has not left the slip in 3 months. The loan payment comes anyway. The insurance premium comes anyway, and in a lot of places it is climbing. The marina wants its storage fee. Come fall, somebody has to winterize it. You can spend the better part of $10,000 a year just to own a boat you never untie, while the thing it is spent on drops in value the entire time. That is money leaving on 2 sides at once, and most owners only ever look at one of them. And the buyer who might have rescued you has changed too. During the boom, boats sold to anyone with a pulse and a down payment. That impulsive buyer is gone. In his place is a patient, careful shopper who has watched prices fall for 2 years and now walks onto the lot expecting to lowball you and win. So the boat is worth less. The buyer offers even less than that, and time is on his side, not yours. And do not assume every boat is falling the same way, because that is where the real information hides. The small, practical fishing boats have actually held their value and in some cases crept up because people still buy those even in a downturn. Pontoons and jet boats have slid. And the big stuff, the true yachts, is softening the most of all because the pool of people who can write those checks is the first to shrink when money gets tight. So the size and type of what you own decides how hard this tide is pulling on you. The bigger and more luxurious the boat, the faster it falls. Hold that figure in your head, because at the end of this we are going to add every one of these lines together into a single number, and it is bigger than the discount any dealer will ever offer you. But the reason the used market froze is not just tired buyers. It is that the companies that build these boats are starting to disappear, and when a builder collapses, the damage does not stop with them. It reaches into your slip and marks your boat down too. This month, a name that built yachts for almost 50 years filed for bankruptcy. Katie Krogan Yachts, a builder known for long-range cruising boats, filed for Chapter 7, which is not restructuring. It is liquidation. The company shuts down and its assets are sold off. And the numbers in its own filing tell the whole story of this market in 3 lines. Gross revenue of about $14.9 million 2 years ago, around $10 million the next year, and by the point of filing this year, $403,000. That is not a slowdown. That is a company falling off a cliff. 2 companies tied to it went down at the same time, including a builder of American-made coastal cruisers that had been around for almost 30 years. And here is the part that should worry any buyer waiting on a new build. When a company files like this, customers who had already put deposits down on boats still in production can be left standing in line with everyone else the company owes. People who wrote checks for a dream boat may get back cents on the dollar, if anything. That is the risk hiding inside a soft market that nobody puts in the brochure. Katie Krogan is not alone. Catalina Yachts, a builder that lasted 56 years, stopped production, unable to keep up with its own bills, and was even pushed out of its factory. A long-running sailing school and dealer on the West Coast, in business for 46 years, filed for bankruptcy and closed, and pointed straight at tariffs on the imported sailboats it sold as part of the reason. X-Shore, a maker of electric boats popular as tenders for larger yachts, went into liquidation after it could not pay the rent on its own factory. And it reaches past the builders. West Marine, the store where half the country buys its life jackets and dock lines, filed for bankruptcy this year. Its revenue had fallen to about $690 million, down from $750 million the year before, and it was carrying more than $500 million in debt. It is closing 59 locations, close to a third of every store it runs, and Florida, the beating heart of American boating, is getting hit hardest of all. Here is why that matters to you, and it is the part most owners never connect. When the builder of your boat goes under, your boat becomes an orphan. Parts get harder to find, warranty support vanishes, and a buyer looking at your listing sees a brand that no longer exists and quietly offers you less for it. The failure on the news does not stay on the news. It follows the tide right up the ramp and knocks another chunk off your resale value. These builders going dark are not headlines about other people. They are anchors tied to the value of the boat you already own. If this is the first time anyone has connected those failures to the money in your pocket, that is exactly the kind of thing this channel exists to show you. Subscribe, and you will see the next one of these coming before your dealer does. Now, back to the ledger, because the next line is the one the dealers are quietly counting on. Underneath all of it sits one simple problem. The buyers stopped raising their hand. Ask any dealer what keeps them up at night, and it is not inventory or interest, it is demand. Families who 2 years ago would have signed on the spot are now sitting on the fence, asking themselves the same 3 questions. Do we wait for interest rates to come down? Do we just buy used? Or do we skip this year entirely and see what happens? That hesitation is the whole story. When enough people freeze at once, boats stop moving, lots back up, and the only lever a dealer has left to unstick a buyer is the price. Every quiet cut you see is a dealer pulling that lever, hoping it is enough to turn one fence sitter into a signature. You would think, with the market this soft, new boat prices would be falling too. They are not. New boats are actually a few % more expensive this year. The reason is tariffs. Taxes on imported aluminum, steel, and parts have pushed building costs up, and manufacturers are protecting their sticker prices on purpose, because if the new price drops, every used boat drops with it. So the factory holds the line, the sticker stays high, and the real discounts hide in financing offers and free add-ons instead of the number on the tag. Watch what that does. The average new powerboat actually went up about 5% last year, to roughly $185,000, even as the used market underneath it kept sliding. New going up, used going down. Picture a pair of scissors opening. That gap is not an accident. It is the factories holding their prices in the air while the ground drops out below them. And every owner trying to sell a used boat is standing in that gap, watching new stay expensive while their own boat gets cheaper by the month. But the bigger problem is that boats have quietly priced themselves out of reach of the people who used to buy them. One industry chief executive said it plainly. A boat that used to sell on a $399 monthly payment has been replaced by $150,000 pontoons and $300,000 surf boats, with payments often 3 times what they used to be. He said boating is turning from a sport into a luxury activity, and the wealthiest, most loyal boaters, the baby boomers, are aging out of the water. When the product costs triple and the core buyer is retiring, you do not have a dip. You have a shrinking pool of people who can even play. You can watch it happen on a single boat. One American builder that just went under sold a popular cruiser that cost around $600,000 in today's money about 15 years ago. The same boat today runs closer to $800,000. Ask yourself how many buyers who would have stretched for $600 can stretch for $8, and you have the entire problem in one number. The boats got so expensive that they climbed right past the customer, and then the customer stopped showing up. And there is a crack forming underneath the whole thing, and it is coming from the engine. For years, if you wanted real power on the water, you paid Yamaha or Mercury, and you paid a lot. Now, a Chinese company called Parsoon sells a 300 horsepower outboard for around $20,000, well under what the name brands charge. Across the board, Chinese outboards run 40 to 60% cheaper than the ones you know. That company just opened a new headquarters and is building a second factory, and it says the fastest growing demand for its big motors is right here in the United States. These engines still have real problems: thin dealer networks, spotty parts, and tariff costs of their own. They are not going to overtake Yamaha this year. But the moment a working motor costs half of what it used to, the price of every boat wrapped around one of those motors starts to look negotiable, and dealers know it. And the tariffs do one more thing that few buyers see. They do more than raise costs. They freeze decisions. A buyer looking at a boat built overseas has no idea what the final tariff bill will be by the time it actually lands, so a lot of them simply say, "We will wait." That waiting is quietly starving the builders who depend on new orders, which is part of how a 50-year-old company goes from healthy to filing in a single year. Uncertainty alone, before a single dollar of tariff is ever paid, is enough to stall the whole pipeline. That is the fourth line on the ledger. We are almost to the total. And the last piece is where the deepest cuts in this entire market are actually hiding. You have heard the number 60% attached to this crash. Now for the honest version. The broad used market is down 20 to 40%, not 60. Now, the industry itself will tell you not to panic. They will say the market is not crashing, it is just recalibrating, settling back to normal after a crazy boom. And on paper, for the industry, that is a fair point. But recalibrating is a comfortable word for a dealer with a healthy balance sheet. It is a very different word for you, the owner who paid the boom price and is watching that money evaporate in real time. The market can be normalizing for them and still be a loss for you. Both things are true at once. And the dealers themselves are split on it. In one industry survey, most dealers expected this year to land flat or a little better. But a real share of them quietly expect their revenue to fall. And when you ask what scares them most, it is not interest rates, and it is not inventory. It is demand. It is whether anyone walks through the door at all. When the people whose whole living depends on selling boats are that nervous about buyers showing up, that tells you more than any cheerful headline ever will. And go one layer down into repossessions and liquidations, and the floor drops out completely. When an owner falls behind and the bank takes the boat, that boat goes to auction, sold as is, priced to move fast. Companies that do nothing but sell repossessed and foreclosed vessels openly advertise savings of 50% or more off the listed price. That is where the 60% lives, not on the showroom floor. In the auction listings and the bank-owned inventory that most buyers never think to look at. A word of caution on those, because it matters. When an owner knows the boat is about to be taken, the care usually stops. Maintenance gets skipped, sometimes worse. So the deep discount is real, but it comes with real risk, and a survey before you bid is not optional. Timing matters too. The quietest, coldest months, late fall and winter, when nobody wants to think about the water, are when these deals are softest and the sellers are most desperate. And here is the quiet warning inside all of it. Every repossessed boat on those lists was once somebody who bought at the top, financed too much, and could not carry it when the value fell. The tide that pulled their boat under is the same tide sitting under yours. The auction sheet is not just a bargain bin, it is a preview. Now, none of this is a problem if you never have to sell. If the boat is paid off and it makes you happy, the market can do whatever it wants and it costs you nothing but pride. The danger is only real for the owner who has to move it, the one who took a job in another state, the one whose budget got tight when the rest of life got expensive, the one who financed at the peak and now cannot keep feeding a boat that no longer fits. Those are the owners the falling market actually catches, and there are more of them every single month. The question is not whether the market is down, it is which side of that sale you are going to be standing on. So let us do the thing the dealer never will. Let us add it all up. Line 1. The quiet price cut in front of you is not a deal. It is a dealer offloading floor plan debt before the interest eats him. Line 2. The boat you own has already lost 20 to 40% of its value, and you are paying interest on the shortfall every single month. Line 3. The builders are failing, one after another, and every failure marks your resale down again. Line 4. New prices are frozen by tariffs while cheap engines quietly undercut the whole thing from below. Line 5. The real floor, 50 to 60% off, is showing up in the repossession auctions, which is a warning about where overfinanced owners end up. Add those together and the number is not the discount on any single boat. The number is the total distance this market has fallen away from what people paid, and it is still falling. That is the whole figure out loud. Now here is the part that actually puts you in control, and it is the opposite of panic. A falling market is brutal if you are forced to sell into it. It is a gift if you are patient enough to buy at the bottom of it. Every quiet cut, every failed builder, every repossession is pushing prices toward a floor. The person who wins is not the one who grabs the first discount that looks big. It is the one who reads these signals, knows what an under-pressure dealer looks like in the fourth quarter with a lot full of unpaid inventory, and waits for the moment the seller needs the sale more than you need the boat. It is the one who looks past his own harbor, because this market is not falling evenly. The same boat can sit 15% cheaper in the Great Lakes than it does in Florida, simply because one region is more desperate than the other. The buyer who is willing to travel, to wait for winter, and to walk away has all the power in a market like this. The seller is the one watching the clock. Timing is a lever too. A boat does not cost the same in July as it does in January. Spring is when everybody gets the itch, and sellers know it. So prices run a few percent above the yearly average right when the sun comes out. The quiet, cold months are when the desperate seller is most desperate, when the boat has already cost him a full winter of storage and he just wants it gone before another season of bills lands on him. If you can hold your nerve and shop against the calendar, the same boat costs you less for no reason other than you waited for the season nobody else wanted. You are not the victim of this market if you can see it clearly. You are the one holding the leverage. The dealers are not lying to you. They are just staying quiet. Because a quiet market is easier to sell into than a scared one. Your only job is to stop being quiet with yourself about the real numbers. Watch the failures, watch the floor plan pressure, watch the auctions, and when the signal comes, and it is coming, move like someone who saw it first. Subscribe and the next signal will reach you before it reaches the lot.